Hello! Welcome to Legendary Adventures, a Legend of Zelda podcast. This week we're going to explore the 8th dungeon in the original Legend of Zelda, Level 8, the Lion. I'm your host, Paul Riley. I'm a Zelda fan, and I'm exploring the evolution of the series by playing through the game in release order. I'm only doing the mainline games, no spin-offs, no multiplayer-focused releases. So, how do we get to Level 8? There was no hint to the location of the Lion within Level 7, but that doesn't mean that there are no hints to the location of this dungeon. In the Impa Recounts Zelda's Parting Words section of the tips included with the manual, we read, "Use the candle to burn trees and find the hidden entrance to the Level 8 labyrinth. An old man who lives near the ocean can tell you which tree in the green forest covers the entrance." On the screen directly east of the Lost Hills, we find a number of Armos statues. Under a statue in the top row, we find a staircase that leads to a cave with an old man. He tells us the secret is in the tree at the dead end. Within the green forest on the east side of the map, there is one location with a single tree that creates a dead end. We can see it on the included map, 3 squares from the right and 1 square up from the bottom. Burning this tree reveals the entrance to Level 8. This dungeon is tough. I did not fully explore it this playthrough. I don't know if I've ever fully explored it. I've come to enjoy the original Legend of Zelda pretty much up to this point. By this time I start to hit a wall. However, fully exploring the dungeon is not required. The dungeon contains 2 collectible tools, however. Neither one's required to complete the game, but they both can make it easier. The dungeon is in the shape of a lion's head facing west. Its mouth is open. It also differs from the drawing that we see in the manual, where the lion is facing straight on with its mouth closed. We start in the base of the head just behind the bottom jaw. We can claim a key in the room to the east. The first of the dungeon's 2 items are to the west. We have to win a rematch against Manhandla and clear a room of Gibdo and Darknuts to access it. The second room with the Gibdo and the Darknuts is especially difficult because there's also 2 bubbles that move throughout the room. Once we clear all the enemies, we can push a block and access a staircase, which leads to the 2D item screen. Here we collect the magic book. With this book, the magic rod that we collected from level 6 becomes stronger. It now shoots fire in addition to the magical beam. Backtracking to the starting room, we head north. We have a second fight with Manhandla. After defeating the boss again, we can use a bomb to create a doorway to the north. The next room's filled with blue Darknuts. There's also 4 fireball throwing statues in each corner. This room is difficult. We can pass through a locked door on the east to claim a compass, but the blue Darknuts in the previous room will have to be defeated in order to progress. Shutters on doors to the north and the west will open once the room is cleared. We travel north. We find another room with Gimdo, Darknuts, and bubbles. Thankfully, we can avoid these enemies and go through a locked door. The next room will also have to be cleared of blue Darknuts while avoiding fireballs from 2 statues in the center of the room. The door on the east opens once the room is cleared, but first we'll want to use a bomb to create a doorway on the wall to the north. It leads to a 3rd fight with Manhandla. Defeating the creature this time gives us the map. And through a locked door on the north, we face a fight with a blue Goma. There are 4 statues that fling fireballs in this room. We also have fireballs coming from the spider-like boss, and this time it won't fall from just 1 hit. I definitely had to use a potion to get through this fight. But doors to the north and west will open once Goma falls. The room to the north is optional. We'll head to the east. There's Darknuts and Pole's Voice guarding a room with the familiar diamond-shaped blocks around the staircase. Once we clear the room, we can again push that westmost block and go down the stairs. We'll find another 2D item room. This one contains a lion-shaped key. It's the magical key, and it will allow us to open any door in the game. No other keys are required. We backtrack to the room that we first cleared of Darknuts with the fireball-flinging statues in the middle. We then travel west to find a room filled with Gibdo, Darknuts, and bubbles. We can avoid these enemies, though, and head down a staircase on the east wall. We enter a 2D traversal screen. After moving east to west, we will come up into a room with a spiral pattern of blocks and Pole's Voice enemies. Clearing this room of enemies, we can use a bomb on the wall to the north. It leads to the boss. It's a rematch with Gleeok. This time the dragon has 4 heads. It takes more hits and will deal out more damage, but once it falls, we can collect the final heart container and get that final piece of the Triforce. So there are a number of rooms that I did not cover here. They're all optional, but there are two worth discussing. They're both hint rooms. One is located in the nose of what would be the lion's head. It contains an old man who offers the strange hint, 10th enemy is the bomb. This is one of the most bizarre hints of the game. Bomb drops do not happen after every 10th enemy is defeated. Hardcore Zelda players, however, had figured out that it's an obscure rule that this hint is referring to. If a player can kill 9 enemies without being hit, and then kills a 10th enemy with a bomb, it will force a bomb drop. According to the legendsoflocalization.com, this hint is also not a direct translation. In the original Japanese, the hint was along the lines of search for the lion key, telling us to find the second item within this dungeon, basically. It's a mystery why this useful hint was dropped in favor of one about an odd and obscure rule. The second hint room worth discussing is located directly south of the eye. Inside, an old man offers this hint. Spectacle Rock is an entrance to death. This is a hint to the location of the final dungeon of the game. We're heading there next week to Spectacle Rock and into Death Mountain to take on Ganon. If you'd like to follow along, please subscribe. I'm Paul Riley. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next week.